Now, here's my issue with people who don't like being talked about on the podcast. I always find it to be very odd, because if I am saying something that is true about you, then why are you upset that it's being said publicly? If it is a true statement and you don't like that it's being said publicly, then maybe you should change the thing that you're doing that I'm actually reiterating or repeating on the podcast. It's possible that the price of Dogecoin could be $100 million, right? It's very possible, because it's an infinite amount of Doge that can be printed. Similar as money, it can always go up in price.
The Bamboo Project Podcast starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast. I decided I want to become a billionaire doing what I already love to do every day and documenting my journey to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is DonivanGray, and this is how I will turn my life into a living. So first, I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Bamboo Project family. My goal is to see, is it really possible for someone like me to be worth $1 billion? That's the goal. My plan to get there is creating 1,000 millionaires, including myself. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. You name it, we on it. And if we not on it, we about to be on it. The link for that will be in the description below. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We have over 350 videos on our channel. Dr. Sabi inspired cooking tutorials, we got that. Travel and lifestyle vlogs, got it. Makeup, got it. Hair growth, got it. Real estate, got it. Basketball, got it. It's everything us. We post something on our story pretty much every day, so you can find me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. All right, so how many times have you been told you have to focus on one thing to be successful? For whatever reason, that never really felt right to us. All right, so I think I'm pretty good at more than just one thing, and that's why we have 6 different projects. We have the food project, we have the music project, we have the clothing project, we have the fitness project, we have the sports project, and we have the Bamboo Project Podcast, which you are listening to right now. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, this is chapter 2, page 60 of this novel. I guess you would call it book story. So this podcast has 4 different segments. We have the life update, weekly update on what we went through last week. We have episode playback. It's a recap of last week's episode and the things I feel like I could have done better to make it a great or better episode. We have Donovan's questions. It's a question I present to you guys that I thought about earlier in the week. And then we will have the topics of the day. All video and audio timestamps are also in the description below. Today is May 11th, and it is currently 5:56 p.m. This is extremely late. This is really bad. It's 6 o'clock. So we probably not finish this until almost 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe. Yeah, probably. So as you guys know, life update always comes first. The thing I want to talk about, I guess it's kind of been on my mind since, last week, honestly, for a couple of weeks now. It is talking about people on the podcast, because it's been brought to my attention over the last week by multiple people that I have talked about them on the podcast, right? And for me personally, I don't really mind talking about people on the podcast. And if it's a part of my life, then I feel like I can talk about it on the podcast. If I'm involved in it, I have free range to say anything about it on here. However, in situations where it involves other people and not me, I don't think that that's something I should talk about on a podcast, especially, let me not even say that specifically. I think a better way to put it would be, I just won't say the person's name who I'm talking about or give any type of information that can readily identify the person I'm speaking about. I will still be talking about different people in my life and things that I've heard or experienced, but I won't actually say things that can identify that person. Now, I think it's funny because we had an episode a while ago. It was a time where Melissa had, she was, what would we call it back then? Flabbergasting? No, you were tallywhacking. You were doing something, talking to some other guy, right? And
don't do that.
What? That's not what happened?
You making it seem like we was talking.
Yeah, I was talking.
Having a conversation.
Okay. A guy that Melissa had used to talk to was currently trying to talk to her again. And during this time period, I had brought him up on the podcast, right? and he had said a lot of crazy stuff to her and about stuff, just a lot of weird stuff that I just think is weird. We have it actually recorded in that episode. I don't know what number it is. I think it's, I want to say like 15. Can you check that for me? So when she tells me that, I'll let you guys know what episode it was. But the reason I bring that up is because he had got mad at Melissa because he said, "Oh, I can't believe that you would talk about me on a podcast. You know, I have a job. People are gonna hear what you said about me on a podcast. They're gonna think I'm a terrible father. How could you do that?" Right? Now, here's my issue with people who don't like being talked about on the podcast. I always find it to be very odd, because if I am saying something that is true about you, then why are you upset that it's being said publicly? If it is a true statement and you don't like that it's being said publicly, then maybe you should change the thing that you're doing that I'm actually reiterating or repeating on the podcast. Because I think about it like this: I'm pretty sure if he had a huge dick and I'm like, yeah, you know, this, her ex-boyfriend or her ex-guy had this huge dick, it was great sex, he was a great amazing man, he would not come on here and be like, yo, can you not say that about me on the pod? Like, can you just not say how great of a person I am? Can you please try and leave that out of the pod? He wouldn't do that. But when it's the things that he feels like he doesn't like about himself, then it becomes a problem. Now, this happens with other people I've talked about in the past, right? Now,
that was episode 13.
It was episode 13. Now, I think what's funny is that I've heard a similar reason recently where it's like, people might hear what you're saying about me on the podcast, so it might affect where I work at. Now, I always think that that's crazy because, one, I have never said anything about anybody that's that crazy that will get them fired from a job. And two, the mindset that people have to even say that is crazy, because what could I possibly say on a podcast, right? That somebody would find, decipher that it's you, because I don't really use anybody's name, and then go, you know, we heard this podcast about you recently and we're gonna have to let you go, right? Anybody that does that was looking for a reason to fire you in the first place. They didn't, the podcast would not be the reason you lost your job. It's because they already don't like you. If you were bringing this company hundreds of millions of dollars a month or a year, whatever the case might be, and you find out, hey man, this person was cheating, or hey man, this person was a deadbeat dad, or hey man, this person was in a car accident, nobody gets fired for that. However, if they don't like you, they'll be like, we found out on the podcast that you actually said you call somebody a bitch, so we have to let you go because that's unacceptable at this wherever you work at. I just think that's crazy. But what I've realized is people that say this think that it's sufficient enough, or they think that it's kind of like a scare tactic, like, oh my god, I could lose my job from this, I could lose, and it's like, no, you won't. You're not gonna lose your job. And like, when you present it to them like that, they usually, and honestly, in every single situation I've brought that up to somebody about how it's asinine, they usually change the subject, or they just kind of let it go because it makes no sense. But with that being said, I will try to be less specific about who I'm talking to or talking about. I'll just say the person or the thing or whatever. And if people know who watch the podcast, you may know going forward, if you watch enough episodes, you'll be able to figure it out, what's going on. But even with that being said, the reason why I talk about things in my life on the podcast is not necessarily for people to know about what's happening in my life necessarily. I don't mind. And the reason why I don't mind is because I want people to critique my life. I want people to tell me what I'm doing wrong, because if you don't have that, then you will end up becoming egotistical, and you'll be hold on, can you get something to wipe this? I would become very egotistical if nobody ever told me I was doing anything wrong. One of the reasons why I started this podcast is for that reason specifically, is because I want to be exposed to a lot of people to shine a light on me so they can then tell me what they think I'm doing wrong. I also want to see different people's perspectives on what I am doing, because I don't know everything and I can't see everybody's point of view. So if I have somebody, let's say in the comment section, says, hey Donivan, have you looked at it like this? Or hey Donivan, you think about it like that? That lets me go and reflect on it and go, okay, I never thought about it like that. But that only happens if I expose myself to other people to see that. So I always find it weird when people try to hide who they are from other people, because you can't actually grow. If you don't tell somebody your truth, then you don't allow somebody to say, hey, that's not how that should be done. Like, don't do that like that. So that's why I don't want to say don't do it like that, but here's a better way to do that thing. So like I said, for me, that's one reason why I have the podcast, is so people can actually critique me and say that. But the other reason why I talk about my life on here is because I know there are other people who go through things that I go through, and they don't know that other people go through these things. So not only do they get to see somebody that's doing something that they're also doing, they also get to see that, how can I put this? They get to see how, or that somebody else is doing something that they also do, but they don't talk about. So there are a lot of things that I know that I may do in my life that other people are doing the same thing, but they don't really talk about it because they feel insecure talking about it. They don't want anybody to know about them doing those things. But for me, like I said earlier, I don't have a problem telling people what I do that somebody else might find weird, that somebody else might say, nah, you shouldn't be doing that. That's corny. Don't do that. I'm going to say that because I know people out there like, oh, snap, I thought I was the only person that did that. And then for other people, I want them to also know, like, hey, I do that same thing too. So, okay, it's not that crazy. It's like, it's pretty normal. So that's, like I said, another reason why I like to expose myself here on YouTube or wherever this video will be posted. But like I said, the main thing I wanted to kind of touch on was is not really being too specific about other people. And I find that funny because earlier in the podcast, when I had a host on the podcast, that was kind of an issue that we ran into, was not talking about personal lives. And for me, I don't feel like it's as genuine if you don't talk about yourself, because at the end of the day, the most valuable form of currency is the people transacting with each other. So it's like the fact that you see another person talking to you, that's more valuable than anything else. Like, okay, I see a person and I know that they're experiencing this, they're telling me this. It's a lot more valuable than a person either reading a book, watching a movie. It's like, hey, I'm telling you my experience. So I think a podcast should always have the personality or the personal part of a person in the podcast. So that's why I like the setup that we have here. Now we got past that. This is a little bit of money topic, a little financial situation. Oh, almost forgot. Screen time. I had said that I was going to start doing screen time on here. So I want to see what my screen time was recently, so far today, yesterday, and average over last week. I think I've definitely been doing a lot better with my screen time. I had a day or two where it wasn't going as well. I'm gonna get into that also as well. Screen time. Okay, so this says right now my screen time was down 23% from last week. Okay, that's a good sign. Now, as far as today goes, I was on my phone today. This is phenomenal. It's 6 o'clock right now. I was on my phone today, my phone in its entirety, for 2 hours and 31 minutes. That is phenomenal. Like, that is amazing. Yesterday, which was Monday, I was on my phone for 6 hours and 13 minutes. And Sunday, I was on my phone for 7 hours and 33 minutes. Like I said, it was getting kind of, it started to go up over the last couple of days. But I'm getting it back down. Sunday, I had 110 pickups, which means I picked up my phone 110 times. Then on Monday, I picked up my phone 120 times, but I was on my phone less. And today, I picked up my phone 96 times, which is kind of strange. That was only on my phone for 2 hours and 30. Oh, no. Today was 57. Okay. Now, I want to see last week. Can I see last week? I don't know if it's going to show me all of last week. Oh, it does. Okay. All right, so let's see. On the podcast that day, it was 5 hours 56 minutes of last week. The following day was 5 hours and 42 minutes. Then it was 4 hours and 20 minutes, which was last week Thursday. Friday was 4 hours and 28 minutes. And Saturday was 5 hours and 35 minutes. Now, the last part of screen time will be what I use my phone on. What? Oh, this is for the whole week. I'm about to say that's crazy. Okay, so on Sunday, my most used time this week, I was on YouTube for 2 hours and 41 minutes and Instagram for 1 hour and 9 minutes. I realized that my biggest vice is Instagram, and I think that's crazy because I think it's a very useless app that you don't really get nothing out of it other than scrolling. But I set my limit to 2 hours. Yesterday, I had a convo with my mom and my sister, and I think it's so funny because they don't really use cell phones. My mom's obviously older. My sister is older than I am by, I think, 6 years. And her phone time for the day was like 2 hours. like for the whole entire day. It's like, yeah, 2 hours. I'm just like, the whole day from you when you got up to when you went to bed, it was 2 hours on your phone. So I think that's crazy. My mom might have been, I think one of them is even less than that. I think either way, it's just crazy compared to what I do. But I think for me, an average amount of time to be on my phone for the day, I would say 4 hours. I think 4 hours of my time on the phone is reasonable for what I do, as far as having to be on social media, posting, and still having a life that I show on social media. Now, like I said, I want to get into some money talk. Okay. Have some theories about some stuff going on. You guys are very familiar. I talked about it last week. Dogecoin or Dogecoin or Doge, maybe you call it. I think that's how it's spelled, right? Now, how can I put this? Okay, so I'm gonna tell you what my strategy is with investing in this coin, right? Or this cryptocurrency, or this, if you want to call it a stock, I guess. For people who are unfamiliar with it, you can call it a stock. Now, Doge is very useless. It's very useless. I don't think you can use it anywhere, really. They allow you to buy certain stuff with it, but I think in terms of value in the marketplace, I think it has zero value, right? Except the fact that it's a very popular coin. I think that's the only reason why it's valuable. Now, my strategy for investing in Doge right now is put $50 a week to Doge, let it grow, and just keep putting money in every week, right? That's my plan. Now, when I have more money, I'm going to invest more money into Doge. Now, the reason that is because I think that Doge is a inflationary currency, right? What that means is the price will always go up all the time. It's never going to be stable. It's never going to go down. It's going to just go up. Like, it's going to continue over time, just always go up, right? Now, the reason why that's... Oh, my ears. It's just tight. The reason why I think that is a good thing to invest in, but a bad thing to hold, is because, let me not say that. It's a good thing to invest in, and it's a bad thing to have. I guess you could say to have. Yeah, I would say that. It's possible that the price of Dogecoin could be $100 million, right? It's very possible because it's an infinite amount of Doge that can be printed, similar as money. It can always go up in price. It can always just make more, and therefore the price will just keep going up and up and up because people can keep buying more of it, and it can just keep adding more to the reserve or to the currency, whatever. So I'm trying to see I'm trying to simplify this as much as I can. All right, I'm gonna start from square one. What?
I was wondering how many people do.
Yeah, right. So I'm trying to simplify as much as I can. So Dogecoin, is very similar to Bitcoin in the fact that it's money, but it's on the internet. Okay, it's an internet type of money, and you can buy some of it, and the price goes up like stocks, and the price goes down like stocks. So if you buy it at $1 and it goes up to $2, you make $1, right? Now, because it doesn't actually have a company attached to it, the only reason why the price goes up or down is based off of people talking about it on Twitter, people talking about it on CNBC, on MTV, on YouTube. That's the only thing that causes this price to go up and down. That's it. And as opposed to something like Apple. Apple might make a new product. You go, oh my God, it's a new product. They're going to make more money. I'm going to invest into that company. Or you have something like Tesla. You're like, oh, they're making better cars, new technology. I'm going to invest into that company. Right? Now, that's the general part of how you would assess Dogecoin. How I'm going to invest in Dogecoin is what they call is buying the dips, right? So what I've noticed is that Dogecoin price will go up randomly for no reason at all, really, other than maybe something happened on the news for the most part, right? And then it'll just drop dramatically for no real reason at all. So the reason why I'm going to invest in it is because I can put $10 into it, and my $10 could turn to $40. I could put $1,000 into it, and my $1,000 could turn to $4,000. And that can happen fairly quickly, within a month or 2 months, which is very unheard of when it comes to investing in stocks. Now, when you have stocks, you want to hold the stocks for a long amount of time because it's a safe place to put your money. You're like, okay, I know that over time, this will keep growing. It'll go up. In 30, 40 years, it'll be worth more than it is now. With Dogecoin, there's no way to really know that. Okay. So for me, I think it's better to just buy it when it drops real quick. And when it goes back up, sell it. Buy it when it drops real quick, goes back up, sell it. I think that's, for me, the best way to invest in Dogecoin. And that's what I'm going to do going forward. I was talking to somebody on Instagram. He was telling me that invest in Ethereum. I think he said ETC, so it's not the same as Ethereum. I think Ethereum is the platform to purchase and sell Ethereum coin. And I think ETC is the actual coin. So, I'm trying to keep it simple here. That has more value than Dogecoin. So that's something that you might want to hold for a while. And that price is also going up pretty dramatically. So those are things that I might invest in going forward. Like I said, I kind of want to talk about that. The main reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a YouTube channel on, or there's a guy on YouTube as a channel. The main reason I'm bringing this up is because of a video I saw on YouTube. A guy's channel got deleted on YouTube for talking about Dogecoin, right? His name is Coffezilla, and it was an algorithm or an automated thing that happened because I guess they just somehow accidentally deleted his whole entire channel. You're supposed to get a certain amount of strikes. He didn't get that. He just got deleted immediately. And he said that the reason that is because Dogecoin he was talking about it negatively in his video. Now, my theory on why that happened is because whoever works at YouTube was messing or tinkering with the algorithm that decides whether or not what's popular or what should be taken down. And I believe that they, for whatever reason, tweaked it enough so that stuff that talks negatively about Dogecoin would get not deleted, but you would not show up as much on YouTube. I think you would show less. And people who are tweeting positively or talking positively about talking positively about Dogecoin on YouTube would get showed more. And I think that while they were doing that, because he has a bigger channel talking about it, I think that's probably why he kind of got his channel deleted. That's my theory. That's just my theory on what I think happened with that. I definitely think there's a lot of conspiracy theories tied to Doge. I have a friend who was telling me about some crazy stuff with it. I'm gonna see if that actually comes to fruition or not. And I just think that once the economy falls, so will Doge, because people are investing in Doge, and that is why the price is going up. The more people buy it, the higher the price goes. And I think if at any point the economy falls, people lose their job, the stock market goes down, people lose money, they're going to want to take their money out. They're going to be like, oh my God, I have $100,000 in Doge, or I have $5,000 in Doge coin. I want to take my money out to go pay my bill. Or I want to make sure that it's safe. I don't want to go any lower. So once everybody starts selling Dogecoin, the price will then go down. And like I said, for me, I think that those are the times to buy it because it's something that is a meme coin. People just talk about it. It's a funny thing to talk about. And it has a community of people who are going to keep holding it and keep buying it and keep investing in it. So I think that over time, it'll always continue to grow and it'll have these highs and these lows, as opposed to, like I said, the stock market, which I feel like it always has a upward trajectory. With Doge, I don't know if it's always upward. I just know that it's up and down all the time. It could be $100, $2, $50, 6 cents. It's somewhere just crazy jumping up really quickly like that. So that's why for me, it's something fun to get into. And the last thing I kind of want to touch on with that is how do I phrase this? If you guys are not familiar with this whole guru culture thing, people on YouTube are. People who I guess don't have YouTube who listen to the podcast, maybe not, but it's a thing going around where everybody's selling a course. Everybody will do one thing and be like, you know what? I got a course. That would be equivalent of me who has like a couple hundred viewers, or I don't know how many views you would say I have. I guess you add it up. If I was to drop a podcast course, like, hey man, listen guys, I know how to have a podcast. You see me, I post every single week. I know what it takes to be successful as a podcast. It's like everybody who's done one thing or done something kind of decent for a little bit amount of time makes a course about it. And then people buy the course because they don't want to put the work in and learn themselves. They pay for the course from this person, and then it's just like, it's kind of a waste of money. So I personally think that the culture that is building the guru culture are the same type of people that invest in a Doge. It's people that want to make money very quickly, and the same kind of people are the ones that make the guru who make them up as far as pay for their courses, and the same people that become gurus. So something I also want to talk about. Now, the last thing I guess with money that I'll talk about for this week is that I got an email today. From my guy. You know, we talked about my man George, right? And we've been talking about him for a couple of weeks now. I was supposed to get I thought I was gonna get like $20,000 from him, but come to find out, I'm only gonna get like 6,000 and some change, and I think he might take some from it. I don't know, something like that. So I got the email today, okay? And the email today said that they are sorry, but we were declined for the loan amount that they had said we were gonna get. So that means we are now getting $0. We started out at $20,000. Actually, let me rephrase that. We started out at $80,000. That's what we started out as, right? Because I thought we were going to get $20K for every business that we have. That didn't happen. So then we refiled. He said, okay, I got you. You guys can get 10. I said, okay, I could do 10. I could do 20 for just myself. We ain't get that either. I'm like, all right, so what we going to get? He said, we're going to get 6. I don't know why we would decline yet. I'm going to get an email at some point, maybe from them. Maybe he'll hit me up and let me know. But as of right now, I'm getting no money from that. So the last, what would you call it? I guess heap of money or large sum of money that we would possibly get would be from AJ. You guys know AJ. He's the last person right now we're waiting on. So George, that one's out. Wait, that one's gone. And now we're waiting on AJ. We're going to see if he gets us the bag. We also are kind of waiting to see what's going on with Thomas in the house flipping situation that we're doing right now. He was supposed to send me pictures and videos of the current demolition of the house, which I have not gotten. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I'm going to have somebody go over there and check out the house, see what's up. Actually, we should be going there. What's today? It's the 11th. We should be going there in 2 weeks, 12 days. So when do we close on the house? I feel like that's mad. I feel like we should be there earlier than the 23rd.
That's what you said.
That's what I told him. When do we? Oh, you know what it is? I think I went by the time we paid. So, would you like to sit up here on the podcast and talk about your interaction with your father?
No. Okay.
So, Melissa saw her dad over the weekend, and she had a good time with her dad. How did you feel before you saw your dad? During it, and afterwards? What's your experience now?
Before I was definitely nervous. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was afraid that it was gonna be awkward, and I guess it was kind of a nervous excitement feeling, I guess. Because I remember I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And said like 1,000 times. But then I was like, the time, we didn't say an exact time, and I remember I was like, damn, what if he's not gonna show up? But 5 minutes later he called me, so that did happen. So I was like, yeah, just a lot of nervous excitement. I didn't really know what would happen, pretty much. So when we went, it was kind of like, I guess, awkward at times. It's like I'm trying to figure out, just like, who are you? So I'm like, what kind of shows do you like to watch? I'm like, you're from here, right? And it was just questions like that, like questions that I guess people should already know. It's like trying to figure out, I guess, what your parents' favorite color is, but you're like 50 years old. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it went there. Like, it was a good conversation. I was able to ask the questions that I wanted to ask, and I felt like there was no negative energy from like either of us. It was pretty much we were both open to talking or asking or answering questions. So that was a pretty cool environment to be in. And how I felt afterwards, I don't know, I just feel kind of normal after. He did text me and tell me that he had a good time and everything.
Did he say great time? Why did you do that?
I was gonna correct it, but I had already said good, so I just let it be. But he said he had a great time.
He had a what?
Had a great time. He had a great time. Donovan. I don't know what you want me to say.
I don't know why you didn't want to say that.
So that's what he said. And he sent me pictures of like different family members and stuff like that. So like I said, I had a very cool time. I enjoyed myself. So yeah.
Okay. This is something I always wanted from Melissa, to have interaction with her dad, or relationship with her dad, because for me, I feel like a lot of times when I talk to girls, I become the father figure, and I don't really like that dynamic in a relationship. And I feel like when they have a strong relationship with their dad, it becomes easier for our relationship, because they don't look at me as that role. In Melissa's case, I feel like the challenge was knowing what the model of a boyfriend looks like, and then what the model of a dad looks like. I think it's very hard to differentiate the two when you aren't raised like that. So I think that a lot of times the lines can get conflated, and it can be it's menial things. So something like, for example, would be if I say, hey, can you pass me the remote control, right? If she doesn't want to pass me the remote control, I feel as though she would view me as her parent in that situation, and now it becomes a parent bothering the child as opposed to a boyfriend bothering the child, or bothering the girlfriend, or asking the girlfriend for something. I feel like when you have an idea of how your dad talks to you, then you go, okay, this is how a dad talks to me, and this is how just a male who's not my father talks to me. But I think when there is no father there, those lines get conflated, and I kind of pick up on that often. So that's why I really wanted her to have the relationship with her dad. I also think that Melissa really, it's a very weird thing, and I don't necessarily know why it's happening, but I get the feeling that she's trying to not be happy about it. It's like I don't know necessarily why that is. I'm not sure. Because like you said earlier, right? You can tell that she wants to talk to her dad. She wants to have a dad in her life, but she's like, he's not gonna come. He's not gonna come. I know he's not gonna come. He's not gonna get there. He's not gonna be here. And it's like, yeah, I don't really care. I don't know. I mean, But then you look at her. She's like, damn, he's not. Is he coming? Is he gonna come? Oh God. And then he texts her. She has a big smile on her face. She's cheesing. She's like, and it's like, why would you pretend that you don't want him to come? It's a weird thing, because I think that she was doing it to prevent herself from getting hurt. So she was trying to, I guess, would you call it like defend herself? And this is what a lot of women do with their boyfriends also, with their new boyfriends. They feel like, okay, I have to put up this guard so that I can protect myself from being hurt, and then they'll kind of lie to themselves to make themselves feel better about things that aren't actually true, and things that probably not going to end up happening in the first place. So, like I said, I definitely get the feeling that, because something funny can happen to me that I've realized, right? Melissa called him her dad, and honestly, I can't say I've ever heard Melissa call anybody her dad like that. Who you call your dad?
My stepdad.
You call him your dad? I've never heard you call your dad. I've never called him plan.
Like DAD.
Right. I've never heard you say my dad. I heard you say my stepdad. I've heard you say daddy, like when you're talking in reference to him, to your mother or your brother. I've never heard you say like, yeah, I was with my dad yesterday. I've never heard you say that. My dad just called me.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think so? Okay. Well, so I didn't pick up on it until recently, so it could be a confirmation bias. So, or I guess maybe like a recent time bias. It just happened recently, but like I said, for me, it's something I just always wanted to see, and I'm always on the prowl to see like, I wonder if Melissa is going to be different now that she has now been talking to her dad. I don't really know. Like I be seeing something that I be thinking, but I'm like, I don't know. I got to give it more time to see. Like, has Melissa connecting with her dad in any way changed her as a human being? So that's kind of what I've been looking out for now. So I think it's very important for women and men to have their dad in their life. Yeah, because I'm like, this is the thing. It's really late, so my energy is very low because it's about to be 7 o'clock, and the things that I wanted to have energy to talk about, I don't really have energy to talk about it because it's really late. But I will, because I had talked to my sister about this yesterday, and she wanted me to go over what I think men should have to be a man. But I don't think I can do that justice without actually having the energy to do so. So I probably will save that for next week. But I will start off with episode Playback. Well, actually, no, before I get to that, because a couple more things for life update that I want to talk about that aren't necessarily, what would you call it? They aren't necessarily life updates, but they were things I thought about during the week that I kind of just wanted to say for myself, that I feel like one thing I need to work on more is being more compassionate and I guess understanding, because I feel like, or I've read before that, I can't remember the quote, but oh man, what was the quote? I can't remember the quote. But at the end of the day, like I said, I just feel like I definitely think I'm not very loving. I think that's the proper term, whether it be with Melissa, my mom, my sisters, anybody, cousins. I don't think that I have that. And the reason why I don't think I have that or express that is because for me personally, I feel like I don't need that. So it's hard for me to understand that other people need that. Because I don't know what it feels like to need that. So I don't know how to give it, because I don't know if I'm giving it right. I don't really know how to give it. So I think that that's something I'm trying to kind of work on, because like, again, I don't understand it. Logically, I don't understand it. Yeah, that's definitely a hard thing for me, is being more loving. And I feel like for me to define being more loving would be understanding. So by that, I mean, just because I don't know what somebody is saying, I don't have to know somebody saying to understand them, if that makes sense. Like, I can understand what they are communicating to me, even if it does not make sense in the way that I view the world. And I think that that's something I need to kind of work on, because somebody will present something to me and I will naturally be like, yeah, that don't really make any sense. And for me to say that means it doesn't make sense to me. So I go, okay, it makes sense to you. There's a reason it makes sense to you. And I don't even really have to dispute that. I can just be like, okay. Like, I don't really have to challenge those things. It's just like, it's a thing that happens. I understand you're saying that, and that is what it is. That's all. And I just kind of let it go. So that's how I'm trying to work on going forward with that. So we're gonna do episode Playback. All right. So episode Playback. The first thing I want to touch on, something I find very interesting. Right. I had a conversation with my girlfriend about Dogecoin. Right, and she is not a fan of Dogecoin at all. I personally think that she does not want me to invest in Dogecoin. That is my opinion. Now, she has told me that that's not true. I don't necessarily believe that, but that's what she has told me. What I gather from it is, well, during that conversation, she said that the way that I respond to it is why she does not like it very much. Are these things true?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain that?
Because your energy is kind of like, because I remember the first time that you invested in Dogecoin and then it had went down, because you originally invested with $2,000 into it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went like down, and then went down to like what, $500, something like that.
Probably.
So yeah, and I remember how you felt during that time. And then fast forward to now, where it's like, man, if I would have left all my money in there, you know, we would be at this number. But it's like, the thing is, it's so uncertain, because the reason why we had took money out in the first place is because it had went down dramatically as opposed to going up like it said it was supposed to go up. And it's just like a whole bunch of things that's uncertain about the coin itself that you then have to respond to. So I see your response to it, which can sometimes be either not frantic, but it's kind of like, know. It's kind of anxious. It's kind of anxious, excited, just non-stable behavior, which is kind of funny because I'm not used to seeing that from you. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay. So how I interpret that is that, I mean, like I said, I understand what Melissa is saying. She honestly, okay, this topic is similar. No, how can I put this? What I'm about to say is connected to this topic. So this is one of the reasons why I don't like the idea of alpha men or the idea of having to be a man. These are the reasons why I don't like that, because now that Melissa has seen me, in my opinion, I view it as being excited. That's how I view it. And because of that, you disagree?
Yeah, but I disagree because it's not only excitement, because I've also seen what happened when it went down, or when we was unsure about what was happening, and then it went down to that number. So it's kind of like I see how this can go either way, and when I don't really know what to do when you're upset or when you're I guess anxious about something, because I mean I don't know how I would be able to help, even though I'd like to, and I also don't want to say anything that would make it worse. So it's just a weird place for me to be in, because there's nothing that I can really do to either help relieve or work through whatever you're feeling in that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the thing that I find to be interesting about this is that I was going to say that the negative outweighs the positive of that, because if you were to look at the situation in its totality, we are doing better now than we were doing before, and we have not lost anything based off of the decision that were made through Dogecoin, in a sense that we got our money back when it went up the first time, because we took our money out of it, and then it went up to $900. So we were good at that point, and we were like, all right, let's leave it in there. So we didn't actually lose anything from that. So what I was getting to before is that this is how I view it as being a guy, right? Women want to see you as a square. They want to see you as being this thing. And they want you to stay that thing for the entirety that they know you. Anytime you go outside of that thing, the women feel very uncomfortable. Now, that whatever that thing that they view you as, that's how you have to be. And when you aren't that thing, then it becomes it causes turmoil in a relationship. And when I say that, I don't think Melissa, Melissa and I have not had any issues with Dogecoin or us talking about anything like that. There's no issues, but within the woman, it causes an issue, is what I mean by that. So they feel very uncomfortable with the fact that the guy that they're talking to does not fit into the box or the square that they view them as, and that becomes an issue. So that's why I say that. And it's funny because as a guy, women want you to, it's funny. They try to push you into being what that square is. And then when you fall outside the square, they feel very uncomfortable with that. And I find that to be very, like I said, it's very annoying. So for me personally, before, when I was running a game on girls, this was something I used to find to be really weird, because now, before, it was more like, okay, I'm going to be this guy. If women like this kind of guy, I'm going to work to become this kind of guy. All right. Girls like the guy he knows what time the weather, it's going to be hot outside, it's going to be cold. He knows where his keys is always at. He knows where his wallet's always at. He knows that he's on top of everything, right? That's what women want you to be. Now, the more you do that, then the more the more they want you to do that thing all the time. There's actually a funny quote by the podcast I used to listen to. His name is Dante Nero, and the podcast is Debate Phillips Show. And he has a quote where he says, anything you do for a girl more than 3 times is no longer a favor, it's an obligation. And I think that that's funny because they now expect you to do this thing all the time. No matter what it was, if you did it for them as a favor, it's like, no, you did it for me a couple of times. Now, this is how I view you. And if you don't do this thing that I expect you to do, I feel very uncomfortable with that thing. And that uncomfortability can then leak out emotionally into the relationship. So like I said, this is kind of a conversation for guys mostly to understand this, because I don't think that girls will change that. And it's kind of one of those, it's just how women are wired. It's like asking a guy not want to have sex with other people. It's not a thing that exists. It's just how women operate. So I'm saying this for the guys to know that this is what they are going to run into, and to understand how to deal with it going forward. So that was episode Playback. That we talked about that a little bit in the last week's episode, because I had heard the episode this morning, and I could hear the uncomfortability when I had suggested that people invest their money into Dogecoin. I was like, hey, if you save $15 from saving, from not eating food, you should put in Dogecoin. And Melissa did not seem very happy with the idea of me telling people to do that in the episode. Also, I talked about this in terms of, like, I guess, millionaires or billionaires last week. There's a black superhero, in my opinion, right? And this guy, his name is Kenneth Chenault. He was the former CEO of American Express. Okay, former, not that anymore. If you look up this guy's story, this guy is working on all types of companies. He was on Berkshire Hathaway. If you don't know what that is, that's the company that's owned by Warren Buffett. Then he's on a board of Airbnb. He was working, I think he's on Facebook. He might have been on Twitter. He's a black dude, older guy. I think he went to Harvard. His grandfather was has the best score in the medical school. His dad has the best score in the School of Medicine. I want to say NYU or in the state. It's some crazy shit. But like I said, you gotta look it up yourself. But I just wanted to bring him up because I think nobody really talks about him. Nobody really knows about him. And to me, this is a phenomenal individual. And when I think of when I think of people that should be on TV and kind of I learned this new word from my real estate course. Promulgated.
Did you really learn it?
I know what the word means, but I think it's like to yell out or promote. I think it's I don't know if it's PRO, promulgated. How would you? Okay, here's the word. I'm gonna spell it to you, Melissa, and you tell me how you think it's pronounced. PROMULGATE. PROMULGATE.
Promulgate?
What?
Promulgate?
There's an R.
Oh, promulgate.
There's an L.
Say it one more time.
PROM.
Let me spell it out, because you can't just read a word. I'm just about this. PROM.
ULGATE.
Oh. Promulgate.
Which one is it? What do you say?
Promulgate.
Promulgate? Promulgate. Yeah, so that's the word. But let me see how they say it on here. Promulgate. Yeah, so they're saying promulgate. All right, so that's what they're saying, promulgate. Like I said, that's somebody I definitely think that should be promulgated across social media and on the internet is him. I'm like, when I think of somebody that should be on TV, that people should be trying to be like, I think of somebody like him. But I don't think of people in the hood would look to him as somebody that they aspire to be. And I don't know if that's a problem or not. Should you look to somebody like that to aspire to be, or should you look to a rapper and aspire to be that? That's kind of where we at with that. I'm also gonna start doing a new ad. I feel like on the I listened to the ad today, haven't heard it in a while. It's kind of stale. I think I need to do a new ad for the podcast. Gotta come up with something new, something real, something good, something better than we had before. I listened to it this morning. I was like, that's chapter 1 podcast. That's not chapter 2. We need something for chapter 2. And I also want to do a little bit of tinkering with the intro, a little tinkering. So And so we got a couple. I realized that it's little tweaks. What's that book you read about Square? What was it called?
The innovation stack.
The innovation stack is where you just keep making a little bit of tweaks here and there, and then you finally have your final product. That's what we're doing. I'm gonna do a little bit tinkering with the intro, a little bit tinkering with the ad, a little bit tinkering with the format, and then we're gonna have a podcast that's gonna be even better than you thought it was before. So I also have today Donivan's questions. I never really have these, rarely do I have these, but today I have one. This comes from a convo we was having yesterday with my mom and Melissa and my sister. And I'm actually going to ask people this question more frequently. You know, I guess I'd be talking to I'm around younger people when I play basketball now. So I might ask them, and I'll ask younger kids, what age do they see themselves having kids? That's my question. Anybody that's under the age of 21, at what age do you see yourself being ready to have kids? Okay, that's my question. And then let me see, what's today's topics? So I watched a Netflix movie the other day because I was also feeling kind of unproductive. It was like Saturday, I think it was, and I was just kind of like, what can I watch on Netflix that just kind of waste some time? And I came across a movie with the black guy from the Avengers, the one that plays Captain America, the new Captain America. And it was a movie about the military. It's a military movie, right? Now, I find it to be very interesting because I know that the military actually has like a budget to pay for movies to be created. And I also believe that certain movies that are made about the military have to be approved by certain military members. So I'm assuming that if they make these movies, they get, you know, the military to see it first. The military might change certain things. I found it very interesting that they had robots in this movie. You're probably wondering, like, why is that interesting? Because they have the ability to make any kind of robot they want in this movie, but they decide to make robots that are actually what we have in real life. They made these robots from what you see on those not Netflix memes, on the Twitter memes or Facebook memes, Instagram, stuff like that, where it's like the fake dog robots. They had those in the movie. They had the robots that look like you'd have to see a. I'll put a picture up on YouTube, but just Google, I guess, robots in Japan. I guess human robots in Japan. So you probably Google, and they look like that. And I just find it to be very interesting that they would put that in the movie when they could make Optimus Prime. Like, we had Optimus Prime decades ago, but then they went backwards to make and put these cheap looking robots in the movie. But they're cheaper, but they're more realistic. So I find it to be very interesting. The reason why I think it's interesting is because I always feel like they try to show you stuff on TV first to get you kind of comfortable seeing it more often, and then they kind of push it out into the real world. So I feel like you might see stuff where they have those movies, they have those robots that are in those movies just on the street walking around. You might see them, you know, in the military. Honestly, they might possibly have those in the military right now. I don't know. I've never been in the military. I had to ask somebody that's in the military. I might ask Neffy if she knows about that. And I just think that it's crazy because what I've realized watching any movie now, it's really hard for me to watch movies or shows, is because every single thing I watch, every movie, documentary, show, I view it all as propaganda. Every single thing. I look at it as somebody is trying to impose their thoughts on me from this, and this is propaganda. Then my job is to figure out, okay, what are they trying to make me think? In my opinion, the best kind of movies that I've seen are the ones that you can't tell is propaganda. They all are. They 100% all are. But it's harder for you to tell certain ones. Like if you watch Game of Thrones, that's propaganda. If you watch Bob's Burgers, if you watch Naruto, if you watch the Rugrats, like I remember being a kid, right? And I used to tell my, like, oh my God, I saw this crazy thing on TV today. He was like, you watch too much TV. I'll be like, no, but Rugrats was trying to teach me that it's better to help your friends when they need help as opposed to caring about yourself. And it's stuff like that where you may think, now you watch it on TV and you may think that. So, but that's not really always true. And they don't really depict that in television. They just kind of push something onto you. You think that is real. Because, for example, in a situation, let's say that the Rugrats example, let's say that you actually want to protect yourself more than other people. Let's say you're thinking about other people over yourself. Now you're gonna be living a life where all you're thinking about is helping everybody else but yourself, and now you as a person are going to have to feel the negativity or the negative repercussions from doing that. But like I said, everything I see on TV I view as propaganda. So I think it's kind of funny when I watch that one and I'm like, this is kind of strange. And I also don't really like watching military movies, because to me those are the biggest propaganda type of movies, where it's like, all right, America is amazing, America is great, this is we're the best country out here. Honestly, the movie started off with like they were trying to bring vaccines to another country to help them because they were about to be sick or something like that. Then they were talking about how they had Russian hackers who were trying to hack the main just mad stuff that you would hear on the news, and they put it in there. Mind you, this movie the movie had to be made, I think, within the last year or two. I feel like it couldn't have been made that long ago. So like I said, for me, propaganda. And the funniest or most ironic part about this is Melissa and I, we use YouTube. We use YouTube Premium, right? There are no ads on there. One thing we've noticed since I guess we leave the house now, when we go outside, is everywhere we go, there are ads for getting a vaccine. Every single place we go to, there are ads, right? And I think that it's so crazy because you can't avoid the ads. And what I mean by that is your brain doesn't pick up or understand that what you're looking at is an ad. So in your mind, you may read something that is not true 100 times, right? At some point, your brain will decide that this is a true statement. No matter how, if you read it over and over again, you see it everywhere in the world, you're gonna be like, yo, this has to be true. I see it all over. I keep seeing this one thing. And it's like seeing something a bunch of times does not make it true. So now what I've noticed, right, is that, bro, it's getting crazy at this point. I don't even know if they got a bigger budget for this vaccine stuff, but I know that I'm getting Instagram has now taken over my Explore page. The biggest picture on my Explore page is a vaccine. It's like, hey, the vaccine is amazing, it's wonderful, get it. Now I'm getting, if I'm in the car when we're driving to Philadelphia, it's on it's on the radio, right? If you watch YouTube, they have YouTube ads about getting a vaccine. Then Melissa was on Facebook the other day, they were telling her, hey, change your icon, let people know that you have the vaccine. And I'm like, now I got a text while we were doing the podcast that literally said to me, hey, did you get a vaccine? I'm like, I don't even know who. I'm like, what is this? It's just like one of those automated generated text messages that are asking me if I got the vaccine. It's everywhere. And I think it's so crazy because honestly, maybe 7 months ago, 8 months ago, getting a vaccine was like, yo, this is crazy. What do you mean what are you saying get a vaccine? Like, I'm not about to get no crazy vaccine. And now it's getting to a point where everybody's getting it. Not only is everybody getting it, it's starting to become more normal for everybody to get it. And to me, that's so crazy because I remember how crazy of an idea it was. Everybody was saying, I'm not getting that shit. That's crazy. The only thing that's changed from then to now is that everybody is seated all over the place. That's it. And that's crazy to me. The fact that and that's literally how media works. If I push the same thing to you over and over again, you're going to start liking it. Same thing with music. It works the same exact way. If I play this song for you 100 times on the radio, 500 times on the radio, 1,000 times on the radio, you're going to end up liking the song. Even if you don't like this. And you know what's funny too about that? When you hear that song again, like 5 years from now, you're like, I'm not fucking with this song. The songs that they push on you, I feel like people don't end up liking them in the future. You only like them now because you hear it everywhere. You walk down the street, I heard that song before, I heard it in the car. You go in somebody's house, you hear that song, you hear it on somebody playing on Instagram story, you hear it on a YouTube video. You're like, yo, this song is kind of fire. I've been hearing this shit a lot lately. It must be really good. Everybody's playing it. It's like, no, that don't make it fire because everybody's playing it. Same thing with this vaccine. Everybody's like, all right, we all getting it. That must mean that it's healthy and good for you. And I'm just like, bruh, shit's crazy. But with that being said, my stance on the vaccine has not necessarily changed for myself, but as I said earlier, these are one of the things I was talking about when I thought about being more loving, understanding, because I have to understand that people are getting the vaccine because they're afraid. Like people are afraid of what people have told them about catching corona. People are afraid of that, and it's not right for me to demonize somebody for being afraid of something else. I can't like.
Oh, really?
What?
You demonize me all the time for being afraid of things.
I know.
As long as we both know that.
Listen. I am working on trying to be more compassionate about these things. It's hard because my brain goes to this is ridiculous, but I'm working on that because I'm like, people, listen, people are scared. And I just, like I said, I'm not there yet. I'm not even close. I still think that.
I'm not talking about that in particular. I'm just wondering, are you going to have the same energy with other things? Like
I said, I am working on it. I'm working on it. The reason, here's my challenge with this thing, since you're bringing it up, right? This is my biggest challenge with all of these things. Is that I reduce the amount of energy I put into this thing, right? And then the other person goes, okay, there's no stress about doing this thing. I'm going to continue to be afraid of this thing. That's my biggest fear.
Wait, what?
If my biggest fear, right, is that let's say that I think eating cell phones is bad for you, right? And people are eating cell phones. And I'm telling them, yo, you shouldn't eat this. They're like, but they told me if I eat it, it's going to be good for me. And I go, nah, right? And they go, but it is. And I go, okay, I understand you're afraid of eating a cell phone. I'm not saying nothing to them. I won't say anything about it. I understand how you feel. My biggest fear is that this person gonna continue to do this thing. And now they got to suffer the consequences from it. And I feel like that's my fault. Because I had the information about the thing, and I go, okay, you know what? You want to do this thing? Do the thing. So now I feel like it's my fault. So now I have to be more understanding because it's possible they could change. It's possible they could be like, okay, you know what? Now that you're being more compassionate and loving, understanding, I can now hear what you're saying. Number one. It's also possible they could be like, okay, now that you're not putting any stress on me to change, I'm gonna continue to do this. I'm continue to do this thing. That's what my biggest fear is.
That's understandable. What? It could go either way.
I didn't say anything. So
you're making a face.
Yeah. So like I said, that is kind of how I feel about it. But like I said, I'm working on it because I hear the fear in people when I talk to them about stuff. And then my response to the vaccine is always I don't have. It doesn't even matter if I had information that people that told people that it was wrong, they wouldn't listen and they wouldn't care. So it's like, why am I trying to help people that don't want to be helped? At this point, I say you gotta be more loving, understanding. I'd be like, okay, I hear you, and I'm gonna accept you. Maybe it's more accepting. I think that's the word. I think I should be more accepting of other people's opinions and decisions. I'm gonna try that. It's very difficult. That's not how I'm built at all. Like, I am far from that. But that is something that my chest scrunches up just thinking about it. But that's what growth feels like. Growth feels like uncomfortability. So, but that is that's it for today. I feel like I made it through the podcast. I definitely, like I said, was not, something is just off. It could be, there's no sunlight in here. That could be it. Maybe it started the podcast late. Maybe I got to eat better. I don't know. It could be, maybe I got to sleep more. It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of different things. But like I said, I just know that I feel exhausted for no reason at all. Really. No reason at all. No reason. It's one of those days. Like I said, sometimes you have those days. Sometimes you have energy. Sometimes you don't. This is one of those don't days. But that's the thing. I'm going to still do the podcast. Even though I might be tired, I'm going to still do it. Consistency. Big project. But I'm working on the outro that's going to be a lot less like it was before. So for today's outro, you already know what it is. Hashtag Big Project 2021. We're going up all year. You know the vibes. All right. If you haven't already, you can go check out our social medias on Instagram, mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my beautiful, phenomenal, amazing girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. We have 6 different projects, okay? We have the food project, we have the clothing project, we have the music project, we have the fitness project, we have the sports project, and we have the band project podcast. I told you I'm all off today. I'm off today. And with that being said, listen, this is rough. This is a rough one. Bamboo Project out.